It's time once again for another episode of the Buckhead Business Show. Being brought to you by the Buckhead Business Association. Broadcasting live from the Pro Business Channel studios in Atlanta. And now, here's your host for today's episode.
All right. Co-hosting today, Michael Moore and Rich Casanova. Michael, how you doing today?
Oh, man, it is a Chamber of Commerce day here in Buckhead. Man, this weather, the only thing we could be doing better than be on this radio show will be out on the golf course. Amen?
Yeah. Amen. Or open up a window or, I don't know, we need to get a balcony out here. Yeah,
Could we do a roof deck? Can we start doing the show from the roof deck?
That sounds good until about like the winter months, when it kicks in,
You know, hey, we'll take it for 30 days, and then we'll just do it on a month-to-month basis. How about that?
That sounds good.
Rent's right.
Yeah, absolutely. So, once again, you're listening to the Buckhead Business Show, being brought to you in part by the Buckhead Business Association. Just go to buckheadbusiness.org. And before I introduce our guest here for this episode, Michael, as a past president, would you give a little teaser and a call to action for those folks in the business community getting involved in 65-year history now of the BBA?
Well, Rich, you're doing your math today. Yes, this is our 65th year of operation. We were founded in 1951, and the rumor has we were trying to figure out who was tipping over the garbage cans out back in Buckhead. So things haven't changed very much, but a lot of business owners got together and did some real neat things and realized that back in those days it was important to have a community, and we had that in both East Village and West Village, as well as the country, which was then called Lenox Mall. It was still a cow pasture.
So the area was just known as Lenox?
It was known as Buckhead. You know that story. We're not going to start back in 1832.
But then, speaking of Lenox, that's our window view from here in the Atlanta Pro Business Channel Buckhead studios. And that used to be an open-air mall at one point, right?
Oh, yes, it was an open-air mall. But before that, it was really an open-air mall. It was a cow pasture.
Right, it was a flea market.
Yeah, somebody back in the 1950s realized that this was the center of the world here, and went ahead and started the first real mall. It was a great mall. But the Buckhead Business Association meets every month, every week, really. We meet 3 weeks of the month. We have a morning meeting at the City Club of Buckhead with great speakers and fabulous fellowship, and not to mention some good food. But then once a month, we journey out to another venue, and it's typically a restaurant or a bar or a hotel lobby where we can actually spend some time and meet after hours, and that's typically the third Thursday night of each month. So just go to buckheadbusiness.org, make some friendships, make some relationships, and do some business, which will be important to the community. As Sam Massell would say, if you buy a little bit of Buckhead, take real good care of it for a while, eventually it'll take very, very good care of you.
Well said. And so for folks listening to join, they can just go to buckheadbusiness.org, and we won't give out any prices because they could be subject to change or whatever, right?
Oh, no,
but they're very affordable because you can just get an individual membership, right, as well as company.
You can do a company membership. We even have nonprofit memberships, individuals, 3-person companies, or we can bring you in as a multiple $1,000 sponsor should your pocketbook dictate.
All right. Well, speaking of pocketbooks and money, Michael, if you would introduce our first guest, which is kind of a money or financial theme. We're going to be talking cash and other topics this morning. So if you would introduce our first guest.
Well, we've got Eric Nyquist with us, and I tell you, this is a 24-year-old guy who you're going to wonder why you don't have a friend like this in the financial services business, because by the time Eric tells you about what he's working on, tells you a little bit about his story and his backstory of how he got to where he is today, you're going to be excited to be maybe a client of his, at least rattle his brain a little bit and try to get some good information so that you can retire on time with plenty of money. So, Eric, tell us a little bit about your story first, and then we'll go into your services and how you're a little bit different and all those things. We've got a good amount of time this morning, so I'm going to turn it over to you with a cheat sheet on your life.
Yeah, I really appreciate it, Michael. Thanks for the introduction.
You have to take a deep breath first.
No, it's been a little minute. It's been a little minute since I've been interviewed.
And do not talk as fast as I do. It's not good for your health.
Okay.
Would you let the dude talk?
Keep that in mind. Deep breaths. So, thanks for listening, guys. I'll tell you a little bit about me. 24 years old. Born and raised in Alpharetta, Georgia. Went to high school in Alpharetta High School, and then I got a baseball and an athletic and academic scholarship to Mercer University, where I played for the Bears down in Macon for 4 years as a right-handed pitcher. Found a lot of success down there. I was also a business marketing and management major. Backing up, I found some success in baseball in college. It was my life. Baseball was my life. I was all conference my junior year and senior year, and won tournament MVP my senior year. About halfway through the season, my senior year, I was running sprints after a start and tore my meniscus in my left knee. So thought my career might have been over then, but doctor said it wasn't a bad tear, so I toughed it out and was able to finish out the season strong. Won tournament MVP through a complete game shutout in the championship game, and we went on to the regional. So, that's a memory I'll always cherish forever. And to be honest, I still don't know how I did it, but yeah. So.
And then you were recruited at one point, right?
I was getting talked to by a couple of professional teams. All throughout the season, they were saying, obviously coming from, a mid-major college, not a big school like Vanderbilt or something, they're telling me I'm about a 10 to 20 round guy, not going to make a lot of money, but that wasn't really my concern. I just really, I really like to do what I love to do. So money wasn't a concern, and I just wanted an opportunity. So get to the draft and did not get picked up. The scouts had found out about my knee, but luckily the Blue Jays gave me an opportunity as a free agent to come down and see if I can be a part of their organization. But I had to pass a physical first to make sure I was healthy, and guess I had a little bit, too optimistic of a mind, saying that thinking that their physical, their trainer would not see my knee, but they check you front, back, and sideways over there to make sure you're healthy. Because
couldn't wear some really long shorts.
I mean, they
saw the
some
scar.
of those, some of those guys they're paying big money, so they
Yeah.
want to make sure that they're completely healthy, checking the heart, checking everything.
Wow.
So they saw my knee was inflamed, and they had me go get an MRI. I knew what they would find, so I get called into the GM's office, and they said, unfortunately, you're unhealthy. We don't want to risk you getting more injured throughout the season.
Wow.
So, rehab it, get surgery on it, rehab it, and, stay strong, keep working, and we'll give you a shot next year. So that begins my story. I picked up a job at McKesson in the marketing and sales department a couple weeks after surgery.
Wow.
And yeah, it was a great learning experience, being with they were Fortune 11 at the time. Now they're Fortune 4. So it was
Wow.
it was a good act. Yeah, and it's the biggest company you've never heard of. That's
Right,
what I like to
exactly,
say.
yeah.
But
I mean, their global footprint is just enormous.
sure, yeah, unbelievable. But it was great experience being in that environment and being around such a professional environment and learning that way. That was my first real job, to be honest. I would all I did,
baseball was a real job. 7 by
baseball,
24.
Baseball was my job. I
Not
would
at
play
Taco Bell or whatever. Yeah, that was my first gig. Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, it was spring, summer, and fall with baseball. That was my focus. So that was my first real job. It took me a week or two to get in the swing of things, but after that time, I got used to things, but I felt like I wasn't being challenged enough in some ways. I was mostly assistant for the other, marketing and sales people, and I kept asking for responsibilities, and I got a couple. I managed their internal newsletter. Being a millennial, they thought I'd be good at managing their Twitter. Not a big Twitter guy, though, but I had.
But they didn't know that or whatever.
Some creative ideas.
Come on, give us a couple
exactly.
tweets. Go ahead.
Exactly. Oh man, about healthcare, it's tough to come up with creative tweets.
Exciting, yeah. That's going to go viral, yeah.
Yeah, tough one. Tough to get a lot of retweets, but I had a great experience there. But again, I felt like I wasn't being challenged enough still. So I just started to do, I'm always looking for personal betterment. So I started finding myself Googling different things and ran across a Motley Fool article, if anyone's familiar with that, investment advisors. That was really the first time I got more familiar with compounding interest. And I thought it was, I was 22, 23 at the time. And, that might sound weird that a kid that age would be so interested in investing and saving your money for the long term, but I found it so interesting that you could put money away and it has, it could grow 2, 3, 4 times the amount that you even make, in your working lifetime. So right then and there, I really hit the books, and I subscribed to the Motley Fool. I was constantly reading articles, taking notes. I read a book called The Intelligent Investor by Ben Graham. If anyone's interested in investing, I highly recommend that book. He was Warren Buffett's mentor.
Wow.
So yeah, it was a great
Warren
book.
Buffett had a mentor?
Yeah, seriously.
He's kind of like the Alex P. Keaton of his generation, which he has no idea who that is. But yeah, it's Michael J. Fox. What was that? It was a show that he was like the whiz kid of
sure.
the era. Yeah. So you were there for a while, and then you started dabbling in money and finance, and then how did you find the Piedmont Group, right?
Yeah, so I was taking notes. I thought I knew a lot, but fast forwarding a little bit, a few months ahead of time, I get a request on LinkedIn from this guy that I could have sworn I met somewhere, and it turns out I had. So my senior year in college, we'd get stuff like Chick-fil-A or Little Caesars after games. Real good stuff, right?
Yeah.
But,
so highly healthy.
Yeah, definitely. So I found myself, I went to Chipotle. I decided to,
stretch out.
Great. I love that restaurant. So I went there to get some food, and I ran into this guy just in line and struck up a conversation with him. And a week later, I saw him at the gas station down in Macon. He was 2 years out of college, but he had gone to school in Macon and was probably down there for a football game. Didn't talk to him for a full year. He messaged me on LinkedIn, and then, we got connected that way. I thought, he was with the Piedmont Group. It's financial services. I thought, hey, this seems like, a calling for me. I'm gonna give this a shot. So I actually, speaking of which, going back to the baseball thing really quick, at all that time I was working out, rehabbing, and I had all the intentions of playing baseball that summer. And this kid, he contacted me about 2 weeks after I got labrum surgery. So I rehabbed my knee, and then, as I was, starting to get looked at again by scouts, my shoulder started bothering me, and I got an MRI. Turns out I had a torn labrum, which for a pitcher, that's like the worst.
Game over.
That's probably as bad, if not worse, than Tommy John surgery on your elbow. So I knew right then and there those were the only two surgeries I've ever had in my life, and they were within the same year. So I was like, my body's breaking down a little bit.
And you anticipated probably with financial planning you wouldn't require any surgery, right?
Right. Yeah. Exactly.
His age is doubling while he's thinking about being a financial planner. So you've got your license. You came to the Piedmont Group. Obviously it's been a 1 year or so task as you've moved in because you're 24 now. So take us down that trail for the last 12 months.
Yeah. So I ended up going to. There were 3 interviews with the Piedmont Group. I ended up going to all 3 in a sling. They make jokes still that
nice.
I use the sling as a way in for the
job. We're hiring cripples here.
the other guys are like, dang it, I'm out of here. Yeah, I can't compete with that.
We're equal opportunity employer. Yeah. We'll interview you.
Yeah.
Right. So I go there, and then in the second interview, they want you to do this thing called a market opinion survey, where you go to a couple people that you know and get some questions, get some feedback about the industry just to get a general sense before you get started in it. And they wanted me to do 5, and I really wanted the job, so I ended up doing 34.
Jeez.
That's like a no-hitter in a championship game. I got that.
They've never seen that before, and I wanted to make it that way because I wanted to prove a point that I really wanted to give this a shot and that I was willing to work hard. I know this business is very tough, but you put the work in, you stay gritty, stay after it,
Well, I imagine as a candidate, pretty appealing. Just the years that you spent on the field and in sports, a lot of discipline and a lot of comparatives with business.
Sure.
Right.
Yeah, absolutely.
You can apply yourself there because you spend how many hours are you practicing before you even get up and in the game?
Yeah.
Right. So that's research in essence, right? In terms of the Piedmont Group and financial planning, you got to do a lot of book work and a lot of knowledge before you have a conversation.
Correct. There's a lot of preparation that goes into both, and I'm a strong believer that your success is based on the work that you put in. I had a good conversation relating back to baseball with Tom Glavine. He actually worked out at the Lifetime that I belong to in Alpharetta, and he said to me, and it resonated with me a lot. His father always used to tell him, there can be, people are always going to be more talented than you, but, there's absolutely no excuse for someone to work harder than you in life.
Well, Rich, I've got that question about speed to market for him.
Right.
What's your pitching speed? How many miles per hour when you're in your prime?
When I was healthy, I ranged from 88 to 93.
Wow.
Nowadays, as a right-handed pitcher, that's very average. It's the new 90 is now 94.
Well, it's still control, and I understand that these radar guns are getting faster.
the pitch, the guys are getting stronger. They're finding new ways to develop arms, and
but still, don't kid yourself at McKesson or at Piedmont Group or any company you're affiliated with from moving forward. They're always going to want you on the team, on the baseball team.
Exactly.
Right?
Yeah, that's
maybe
what
on the company league.
I'm excited
maybe senior softball later
getting
on.
into slow pitch softball. Yeah, I plan.
That's
on
where
it,
it's
guys,
headed.
very, very
so
soon.
So rewind just for a second about
Sure.
the Piedmont Group. So for folks that are not familiar with it, I know they're based here in Atlanta, Sandy Springs, right? Homegrown. I mean, tell us a little bit about their backstory.
So they've been around for 100 since 1851.
Wow.
100, yeah.
I didn't
Maybe
realize that.
165 years.
Yep.
Okay,
They're
100 years longer than the BBA.
That's right.
They're an affiliate of Mass Mutual.
Okay.
Mass Mutual is a Fortune 72 company. Manages over $600 billion in assets.
Wow.
And I'd figure there's a lot of Mass Mutual, their competition. There's a whole lot of financial services. They're a mutual company. There's a mutual company, and then there's a stock company. So for the viewers, you might have seen commercials about Pacific Life, New York Life, Northwestern Mutual. Mass Mutual doesn't do a whole lot of commercials. They use that money for other reasons, but that might be a reason that some people aren't
No big fish in your commercial. So in terms of your day-to-day activities with the Piedmont Group, you started with them, a year ago, 2 years ago?
6 months ago,
6
actually.
months
Yes,
ago.
sir. Yes,
So
sir.
you are literally a newbie. So
I am new.
Those 34 folks you interviewed, I believe you probably made a second call on, right? Tell us a little bit about your day-to-day activities and your prospecting, your relationship building, the guy who found you at the gas station. Tell us some about those stories.
Yeah. So, going back to my story, I mean, when I got to the Piedmont Group, we had training and stuff. We got to meet some of the advisors, 75 in-house, and to be honest, me being a competitor, I start looking around the room, and I naturally start wondering, how can I compete with these guys? Not really these guys, but it's such a competitive industry. There's 10,000 plus advisors here in Atlanta, and me being a business student, how do I really differentiate myself? What separates me? I know it's the relationship part, but luckily, I have a great mentor. I saw my vision with this company the first week working. He walked in and he's like, he says, guys, I'm not like other advisors. I don't want to do what they do. Right when he said that, I figured, let's hear what he has to say. And his whole thing is kind of based around, it's saving money, but his whole thing is kind of based around retirement. And the reason I got interested in this business was it was for that reason. I wanted to one day, retirement's kind of a general word. I think most people, they want to work, as long as they can. But
I think it's more long-term planning, right?
Yes, exactly.
Well,
yeah,
wherever you're at.
Long-term planning. Yeah, absolutely. So someday people are going to want to kind of go from what they have to do to kind of what they want to do, and I want to make certain that they're in a comfortable financial state where they can go ahead and do that.
Okay. So let folks know, how would they reach out to you? What's a good point of contact to reach out to Eric?
So my email is Nyquist, Nyquist @financialguide.com. You can reach me over email, or you can reach my cell phone. My cell phone number is 678-230-3477. I'd be happy to schedule a meeting with you guys to tell you a little bit more about what I'm doing. And then also you can find me on LinkedIn, Facebook, even Instagram.
Yeah, LinkedIn, it's Nike 44.
Huh? Oh yeah, that backslash. Yeah, that was I created my LinkedIn when I was in college, and that was one of my college nicknames with my teammates.
Nike.
Does Nike know about this?
Nike, and then my
44 was your player
was my
number,
jersey number.
Cool.
Yes, sir.
You'll be easy to find, and
and we'll have all that on the show notes as well. Yeah.
And you've been reaching out to folks for 6 months now. You're doing a great job, I'm sure. Your business model with a group that's that old gives a lot of stability, and of course, you tell people out there in the marketplace you're young enough to deliver all those answers to people as they get older.
Yeah, and kind of follow along with them in their journey. But so it'll be interesting to fast forward to have Eric back in the show in the studio and later down the road and see the progress. And maybe have you host. We've been kicking around, well, no pun intended, but been kicking around the idea of a pro business
We've been
sport.
pitching the idea.
No, but pitching. Okay, but we got two for one pun there. Yeah, but we've been talking about pro business sports. as a show in the studio. So not so much about the more the business of sports, right? And we've had a lot of pro athletes in here from the Falcons, from the Hawks.
Well, it sounds like he's got a friend he could have on the show. Mr. Glavin might want to stop by.
Glavin has been at Joanne's, one of our partnerships at the Simply Buckhead, the signature events. We met Tom there.
That'll be great. Okay, so we can
Eric,
put him on.
that's your homework assignment. Yeah,
put your anniversary out there.
Well, actually, we haven't had any Braves in here yet, technically in the studio, but we've had pretty much everybody else. So Eric, that's your assignment. We're going to fast forward here and jump over and introduce our next guest here joining us in the studio. So Robbie Mathis, welcome to the Pro Business Channel studios.
Thank you. It's really good to be here.
Absolutely. So you're the partner leader taxation and accountancy, right?
Yes, I get the fun stuff.
You got that word pretty good. You say that 3 times. Accountancy.
Right.
Accountancy.
Is that with a capital C at the end? Yeah, just
right.
So before we jump into what you're doing on a day-to-day basis, a little bit of your backstory. Originally from Atlanta, what have you done prior to founding the Robbie Group and getting into finance and money and taxes?
So that's the funny thing. The last thing I ever thought I'd be was an accountant. And I before that, I'm originally from the Atlanta area, and actually I did my undergrad down in Macon, and so I spent a lot of time down in Macon. And originally, when I started in accounting, I came back for PricewaterhouseCoopers up here in Atlanta, so that's where I've developed a lot of my practice. And taxation actually turned out to something I enjoyed. My family thought I was crazy for saying I wanted to do that. Probably am.
So both are guests from Macon.
Yeah, go Bears.
Mercer, yeah.
That's a lot. We got the Mercer crowd here.
That's pretty legit.
Okay, and then, so what were some earlier occupations that kept you busy before you jumped into taxes?
So I actually started in management consulting. Strangely enough, my undergrad is in Bachelor of Science in Biology, and then I have an arts in Christianity. So the last thing I ever thought I could do.
You're prepared to be an accountant.
Exactly. And the funny thing in accounting is I often feel somewhere in the middle of a priest and doctor, because people will bring out their taxes and tell you more than you ever wanted to know.
That's why we have client privilege.
It
becomes very valuable in that home. The doctor and the lawyer, you don't want to be sharing those stories.
So if your client doesn't look like the outlook of their taxes, like, let's just hold hands and pray over this.
Right?
Exactly. Hope it's not an option.
But so I went from that into management consulting, and sometimes it finds its way to accounting, and I found myself strangely really enjoyed it. But the best part was the client part.
So let me ask you a dumb question. What does an accountant really do?
That's a great
Maybe
question.
misnomers or whatever, right? Yeah.
I think it's a good question because I've gotten that question so many times. I actually saw a little joke in the paper one time about a son asked his father what the accountant really does, and his dad said, "Well, son, I don't know. They charge you for a problem you didn't know you had, and you paid the bill." So an accountant.
A few other professions come to mind with that too. Yeah,
yeah, right. Exactly. An accountant, it varies so widely. That's the incredible part about it. But what I do is honestly advise clients throughout the year. So the best part about it is if you're an individual or if you're a business, the strength behind your having a client relationship with an accountant is that you kind of know where you're at long before you get there. It's horrible. Once 1231 happens, your tax situation is your tax situation, and that's all there is to it. So the best idea is to have someone that you're actually connected with. You feel like you can pick up the phone and call that person. I think a lot of times people are afraid to do that. But so the accountant, we do what you kind of would expect, review books. But when I started my career, I wrote far more than I ever saw numbers. I wrote hundreds and hundreds of pages of technical tax memoranda.
Wow.
So that was the last thing you'd expect an accountant to do.
Well, no, I was just
that
teasing,
doesn't sound like any fun on the weekend at all.
Yeah.
No, it doesn't. But when you have a liberal arts major, you're like, well, I can do writing. So
you developed a portfolio. You became respected, and that's the process. And tell us a little bit about what the structure of the Robbie Group.
Well, we wanted to approach it completely differently. For example, we did not want to be your classic accounting firm where you just drop off a box of receipts and
a shoebox full of stuff.
Oh,
Okay,
yeah.
Got it. All right.
I've seen the shoeboxes, and thank God they invented scanners that now recognize things. I couldn't imagine being the person typing all that in. But what we wanted to do differently with this group is, for one, we wanted that relationship, like I mentioned earlier, with the client, but we also wanted to empower the client. So say you're running your business from day to day.
Right.
the most important part is that you know where you really stand. And the best way to do that is to have at least some focus on your books throughout the year. So it's not just something that you're throwing in the bag and you're forgetting about completely. The idea here is that you're actually involved and you're asking questions and the accountant's involved. And that's one of the things we wanted to do. We have a trout in our logo, so we probably don't even look like an accounting firm, really. But that was a reminder to me that leaving a firm that I really loved, PwC was actually a great culture. They talk about the big four accounting firms as being these sweatshops for accountants, and it was anything but. Yeah. My life was good, but I did this because I really wanted to work with individuals, not so much corporations.
Smaller businesses that need the help.
I love small businesses. I love individuals. It's really different when you can actually see the change on their faces, and it's incredible.
Mm-hmm. And the result of your activities and your expertise is very well appreciated there, where it sometimes gets lost in larger opportunities.
It really can. It feels very different. You can feel lost in a spreadsheet in some of the larger opportunities, and you're like, oh yeah, there is a client at the end of this.
Right, yeah.
Yeah, you're right. The sweat mill of the big four will tend to train people extremely well, but then they grow up looking for something different in life. Yeah. Personal relationships with your clients is the key. I've just got a friend who retired who has never worked in a large firm. He came right out of school and probably did what you did. He started writing and got into a smaller firm and was really mentored well and was able to do a number of things. So I can see you're very valued in what you do for your clients currently.
Well, it was exciting because I did get that Big Four training, and it has value, but now I'm able to deliver it to clients where I wouldn't have had that experience. But yeah, you're exactly right. At some point, or at least for me, I reached a place where I really wanted to engage with clients. And
well, times have changed, Rich. It used to be the Big Eight. Now it's the Big Four.
Yeah, really whittled down. Yeah, they just got it.
So your mission in life is to find new business owners. And how do people get in touch with you?
Typically, we like to try to make ourselves real available in the community. We love nonprofits, so that's one area we lead.
Is that by purpose or by chance you like nonprofits?
Oh, I actually did my tax research in the master's program in nonprofit taxation, which is a real thing. You wouldn't believe it.
Oh, yeah, no, big time.
It's quite a return, so that's where that came from. And then I just got involved with helping nonprofits. Some of it, as you'll know, is it's kind of in the Mercer culture, is to be real involved in the community. Yep. So that's one way we meet them. But we're definitely at events regularly. A great way to get in touch is reaching out directly to me or one of
And your phone number is?
My phone number is 470-259-0375.
Very good. And your website is?
It's the Robbie Group, which is TheRobbygroup.com.
And lastly, your email address is?
It's Robbie, R-O-B-B-Y, @theRobbieGroup.com.
Cool. And now you learned a little bit about traffic in Midtown. Were you coming from that direction this morning?
You know, the funniest thing is I've run that exact 6-mile stretch a lot faster than I drove it today.
Nice. Well, we got about 4 or 5 minutes here remaining, so I want to delve into a couple other topics in terms of taxing and accounting. But I want to remind our listeners you're listening to the Buckhead Business Show, being brought to you in part by the Buckhead Business Association at buckheadbusiness.org. So Robbie, talk to us about searching an accountant. For folks looking for an accountant, what are some things that they should look for? Where's a good fit with your firm? Or what are some criteria that, in some cases, they don't need an accountant based on the level of their business or some of their tools that they're using with QuickBooks? Or, I mean, where do you kind of come into play? Do you offer kind of a la carte? Or that was about a 7-point question there.
And no one doesn't need an accountant. We know that.
Well, exactly. I think it's the best place to start is with an accountant, because if you're structuring a business and you're getting started, that initial consultation doesn't hurt. So you're at least going in the right direction. You know you have peace of mind. If you're looking at formation, an accountant's a great person to talk to, whether you need an LLC or maybe you need a corporation. But finding the right accountant really comes down to personality. It should be nothing to talk to an accountant and pick up the phone and just say, hey, I just want to come talk to you. There should never be a fee for that.
Yeah, we met with an accountant and got charged a fee just to have a conversation with him.
Are you serious?
Yeah, I was as shocked as you were, yeah.
Did you enjoy that conversation?
not once we got the bill.
Looked at my watch the entire
had I known, yeah. So talk to us about what are some do's and don'ts with business that you see that pitfalls they fall into in managing their accounting.
I think one of the worst things, and we adopted a platform called Zero Accounting, and we decided that as accountants, we can't support every platform out there, so we're not just going to list a litany on our website. Right. What we're going to do is only back this one piece of software. But what's so nice about it is now that we're so mobile, the software works on your cell phone, so you could be sitting at the tire shop and you can approve a few transactions.
Right.
I've approved payroll that way.
Okay.
That's pretty exciting. But the biggest pitfall, and the reason I brought that up, is because you go into business for a reason. Maybe it's because you always wanted a flower shop, or you're passionate about dog walking, or any other reason. You do that all day long. Someone has to do the books at the end of the day.
I know, yeah.
Paperwork.
And who likes paperwork? I try to get rid of it. We scan it in, we're digital, we're all electronic. So I think the biggest pitfall for most small business owners is they let it get so far behind that it just gets worse and worse, but it hangs over them the entire time. So they're constantly thinking, oh my gosh, I know I need to do this. Wait, how much money do I really have? Oh, I think I wrote a check last week. All those things, which sound very serious, happen every day. And so what we try to do is real-time accounting and keep the advisor available for the client, so that it's not them just hoping and guessing for it.
Hope is not an option when you're running your business and trying to be
plan.
friendly with the IRS. Well, gosh, Rich, we've had a phenomenal financial show this morning.
I'm telling you. I feel smart. I'm so smarter just for listening. Yeah,
I'm loving the Mercer.
Shout out to Mercer. Yeah,
there we go.
They do good education and provide good folks for the Atlanta marketplace. We're appreciative.
All right. Well, that concludes another episode of the Buckhead Business Show. We'll see you next time.
Thank you for joining us and our guests on the Pro Business Channel. Use the social media links here to share today's show and stay tuned for the next episode of the Buckhead Business Show. Brought to you by the Buckhead Business Association.